So I always have to have it step by step.
I'm not going to do it now. Just joking.
Oh, you cheeky, cheeky. Okay, we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Punch Positive. Just in case you were not aware, Punch Positive is a global call to awaken the warrior within every woman and aging adult. I'm Lita Mae Button, motivational speaker and coach, and I believe that strength has no age, healing has no timeline, and everybody deserves the chance to rise in their lifetime. I stand for courage, dignity, humor, most fun wins, community, and lifelong independence. I envision a world where aging is celebrated, trauma is met with compassion, and people rediscover the warrior spirit that they have through movement, mindset, and connection. And so, if you're watching this, I call you in if you're ready to reclaim your health, rewrite your story, and rise with a community that refuses to let you fall. So, this Punch Positive movement is for women over 40, seniors, caregivers, trauma survivors, and anyone who's ever been underestimated. And I created this movement because boxing saved my life. My nursing career shaped my purpose. And my own journey taught me that warriors are born, or warriors are made, not necessarily born. And so this is only the beginning. Together we rise stronger, one punch at a time and one story at a time. Like we have Brenda Lee Kitchen here joining us today live. Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you, Brenda, for joining us. I'm so excited to have you here. And it's a really big win to have you here joining us live today. Can you take us kind of back towards that kind of moment that you decided that you wanted to join the Punch Positive community and begin some boxing training? What was that like for you?
Well, Lita May, I've admired you for quite some time. And I've been watching your YouTube videos and I've been feeling myself being drawn into your community again and again over a long period of time. I'd say it was a couple of years, thinking about boxing and thinking about having you as a trainer and just kind of letting my mind massage that. And then I felt like things were going along pretty good. I had moved my house, sold my house in St. John's. I moved back home in rural Newfoundland. I was happy to come back to my mom and my dad and become a caregiver. And I was slowly living a very quiet life as an artist. And I had even gotten off of Facebook. So I was just slowly reverting from society, living a happy little life in rural Newfoundland. And my health was pretty good. I was a very healthy weight. I worked out. I even participated in some community fitness classes. An avid walker. But then I saw some really horrible things happening in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador when it comes to our government and mismanaging of our resources, manipulating the people, lying. This was a crazy time for my eyes to come wide open. And for me, it was specifically with the wind energy to hydrogen mega projects.
Yeah.
And once I saw that happening, I knew I had to speak up. And I got back on Facebook and I became an activist, which was really a horrible awakening, I'll say, when you start to take a stand like that and speak out. In the beginning, I thought the government would help us get out of this mess. I didn't realize how much they were in on this mess. And I saw sides of really ugly, ugly sides of people, both in person and, but I would say 90% of it was on the computer. Just, I've never been bullied or harassed in the way that I've been bullied and harassed since I became an activist. And around that time, my mother died. And that was truly the most heartbreaking thing I've ever had to experience in my entire life is a loss like that. And you take the two and combine it. Um, it really threw me off balance. And
Yeah.
the signs were there that I was slowly getting, I'm going to say, unhealthy. I wasn't sleeping through the night. I had really bad insomnia. I was committed to the activism because all these projects had deadlines, so I had to stay on top of these deadlines. Um, so I could not step away from the cause. I started to gain weight. I was getting sick. I was getting nauseous. Um, the sadness and the depression of my mom dying. And then you combine that with the bullying that was happening. I was just continuing to deteriorate. And I was trying to do it on my own. Like I was trying to, claw my way back to health. And I guess it just come a point where I was now weighing the heaviest I've been in my life. I was at the far end of the closet of clothes that still fit me. And I knew that I finally did need to reach out for help. I knew the strength of having a dedicated trainer. I saw some of your journey and I was intrigued by it. And there was a practicality there that now that I was being bullied and some of these bullies were coming onto my property.
Yeah.
I had also been arrested by the police during a protest. So sometimes I'd think about if I had to face jail time. And I need to learn how to fight. If any of these people, or I find myself in a situation where I could be physically hurt, or people, I needed to get my body in a healthy place where I could potentially take a punch, hopefully miss the punch, maybe give a few punches of my own. I don't know. But I had to know that I was healthy enough, that my body was in shape enough,
Yeah.
that I could think quickly and on my feet. And I had to find that balance again. So that was the primary, there was a lot of things happening there, but it did kind of push myself into a position where I knew I had to get healthier or else I was going to burn out. And that's exactly what these politicians and bullies wanted me to do is burn out and hit rock bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
crazy.
it's a lot of courage to take that on. It's a lot of layers. I try not to go down that rabbit hole of the government because I can't control it. And I've learned in lifetime that if you can't, the only thing that you can control is your reaction to things. So, but I try to educate people that the government and the systems that we have in society, and I really believe a lot of people are beginning to see that, is not to set us up for success, but to set us up for control. You know,
Yes. And
you're
I would be of the mindset that while we can't control government, we can influence the government. And we've really been brainwashed and manipulated for generations to think that we don't have any power.
yeah.
But people, need to step into their power and that's what you're here for, right, Lita May? Like
Yeah.
people like you help remind us of our power and our light, and you get us to a position where we can step in. But yeah, I think it can feel like you have no control, but we can influence the outcomes as long as we're dedicated, we get strategic, we work together, and being healthier on all levels can help that.
Yeah, 100%. You hit that nail or that punch right on the button. Like the healthier you are, the easier it is to manage and influence in a positive way those around you, which includes your family, your friends, and then helping them come together and make a stronger, healthier stand towards our government, who is supposed to represent us as people, right? So
Yes.
I love how, especially the influence part, that's great, because we have a lot of control and the things that we see around us all the time does not give us that impact or feels like we can influence ourselves that way or make changes with ourselves. Um, so when you began the journey, how did you kind of feel first starting out?
Well, I felt like I had to get in shape in order to even get started with your classes, which was kind of silly, right? Because if I could do that,
It's a common misconception. And I find that a comparison with that with women is that if they hire a cleaner to clean their house, they feel like they have to clean their house and have it a certain way before a cleaner comes on in and does the cleaning. And it's the same with the exercise. We get in shape by just beginning where we are, right? So how did you feel like you were able to overcome that?
Well, I personally, I love that the classes, I could do the classes on my own time and they were taped or available on YouTube anytime. And so I could redo a class if I felt that I wasn't ready to progress on to the next one. If I didn't understand a concept, all I had to do was rewind it and watch it again and again until I got it. Um, it really helped me kind of still stay within my comfort zone while I was getting stronger. And I was really happy that you and I would have regular coaching calls and that then we would discuss our wins and areas to work on. But coming into it, I was really nervous, but I do know the power of a trainer. I know the power of community. And I really needed to tap into that feminine energy that I was seeing come from you and do the best that I could to kind of channel, like you say, that warrior spirit.
Yeah, amazing. And so what do you feel that kind of like was the kind of shift that helped your mindset kind of go from fragile to a sense of fierceness and warrior? Did you feel like there was any specific thing that kind of shifted for you, or did it take some time for that to happen?
Well, it's interesting, because I participate in healthy language, positive self-talk. I want to believe that I'm a warrior. I want to believe that I'm a fighter, and I say those words over and over. But I was thinking about that, like what kind of finally shifted this. And I really think it was the like the final little poof was the 5-day challenge. And there really is like I wouldn't allow myself to join the community for a while there. I held back like to become a part of the bigger community, but just to be there's something really magical when you bring together a group, and in this case, I'm not, pushing out the men or nothing, but in this particular case, it was women. I loves the men now, call me. But in this particular case, it was a group of women, and that shared sense of motivation, and it just all started to come together that I'm one of these people too. I'm a fighter too. I am a warrior, and I am one of these smart and brave, brilliant women in this group. I'm a part of this, and it kind of just started. I think that was the final. I know we've been together for a while, and a lot of things have made a lot of sense to me. Like you say, is about progression, but for me, I really think it was the final was joining that community, standing up and being seen. With He's seen me early in the morning, so like I didn't do my hair. I just showed up. I didn't do my hair, I didn't do my makeup.
Yeah.
Had on, a bra and clean clothes most of the time. But I really think it was fully committing to that 5-day challenge, and I fully committed to everything that I could in that to get the most out of it. So I think that was the final, that kind of pushed me the rest of the ways.
Yeah, that's amazing. So do you feel like that 5 days showing up live, and I know that you had a sense of fun that you said that you hadn't kind of experienced before.
Yeah,
So
I'm a very serious person. Like everything I do, I'm like, I don't just I don't just want to A, I want to A plus plus plus, right?
yeah,
I don't
I
want to
understand
just
that.
I don't want to just knock the projects out of the water. I want to drive them right off the island, and I want the government to apologize for putting us through this in the first place. But it did help me lighten up. Life is very serious, and there's going to be a lot of curveballs thrown at us. We can't take everything to heart. We have to continue to laugh. We have to continue to find our way through that. And yes, I used to love dancing. I look back on my life, and I'm glad I did a lot of dancing when I was in St. John's. Like I rocked the Rock House, okay, and Sam Shades and all those places.
Okay, I don't know about those places. I think that was before my time.
Yes,
Before my
amazing.
time, yeah.
But but it was like even just being reminded of how much that I enjoyed dancing in
Yeah.
some of your warm-ups. And even when I was boxing in the beginning, I was so serious, like 1, 2, 3, and then I get so mad at myself if I couldn't remember it. But but that's all shifted again now. And I guess some of that happens, through life and through trauma.
Yeah.
I know the bullying had a huge impact on me. I was afraid to even tell anybody I was involved in this because I felt like somehow these bullies are going to be able to infiltrate and they're going to ruin this for me too, right?
Yeah.
But I feel I'm so glad that I did it, Lita May. I'm so glad that I've learned so much through this, and the reminder to have fun. That's the sort of stuff that will help us live long, healthy lives.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's one thing that I didn't share is that I came across a stat it was about a year ago now, and it was like, oh, that's like kind of crazy. As kids, we laugh anywhere from 200 to 300 times a day, and as adults, we're lucky if we laugh 20 to 30 times a day.
Yeah, I can remember laughing so much that people were embarrassed to be seen with me at times because I would let out the biggest bahas. And oh, it was amazing. And then when my mom passed, is like there was nothing else to really laugh about. And then
Mhm.
all the activism started and it became more about the bullying. um we had a lot of wins too, but the bullies are always there. And with computers, they can get you any time of the day,
Yeah.
in your home, and you feel that you're safe. And but yeah,
Yeah.
it's been quite a journey, but I really appreciate, and I look forward to the big belly laughs coming back again. But this is a start, right? Getting me to laugh by dancing to I Like to Move It, Move It. I mean, it's a start back to who I was, and maybe even a better version of who I was.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So, um, what do you believe about yourself now that maybe you didn't believe before?
Well, I was somebody who just I hated the idea of violence.
Yeah.
I hated the idea of hitting. If there was a fight in the schoolyard when I was growing up, I walked away. I found it so uncomfortable. The act of a human being hitting another human being was just very disturbing to me. But when I was being bullied, I saw a horrible side of people, a side I've never seen before. And they were coming onto my property, and they were really starting to, my safe sense of safety was leaving me. And what they were doing was pushing me into a constant state of fight or flight. And stress can have a lot of impacts, negative impacts on our bodies. And I knew that for me to feel more comfortable, I had to be prepared that if these bullies, my dad says not to call them bullies, call them assholes, because that's what they really are. So use your own words here. But if these people actually decided to come onto my property, um, calling the cops didn't help me with any of that stuff. But I had to so for me, I was like, there's nobody to call for help.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's going to help myself. And I need to be comfortable enough that if somebody comes up in my face, I'm able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I feel much more confident now that if any of these people came up in my face, that I would be able to stand my ground. Do I want to get into a fight? No, I don't want to get into a fight, but I'm certainly not going to be walking away anymore.
Yeah.
I will be standing my ground. I feel comfortable to do that now. I feel much stronger mentally and physically, and I know that I will hold my ground if that day comes.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like such huge shifts, huge, huge shifts.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just briefly talk about the stress response because and I'm gonna do a live on this in the next week. I just finished reading the book by Mel Robbins, Let Them, and there's a chapter in there, not even a chapter, half a chapter, where she explains stress, and she explains it so well that one of like the doctors explains it. When we're in a fight or flight response, we go from our typical everyday tasks, and when we're not stressed out, is in the front part of our brain, like our prefrontal cortex. So it helps us organize, it helps us stay calm, it helps us remember things. But when we're in a fight or flight stress response, we go to a reptile part of our brain and we act in that survival mode. So we're not able to handle ourselves and compose ourselves in in a kind of I don't want to say mature manner, like there's a better way to put it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But grounding ourselves and being able to react with our frontal cortex is not as prominent, or it's really not prominent. So, in order for us to be able to handle stress in our life and not come from a stress response, we have to be able to be under a healthy, learn how to manage these things under a healthy manner. And this is why I'm so healthy, stressful manner. So this is why I'm so passionate about boxing, because boxing helps you. I call it real life therapy. Without sitting, you're learning how to do therapy for yourself actively as opposed to passively from sound therapy or counseling. And it's not to knock any of those things. It's just that the number one thing that she says in the book to manage your stress is learning how to have deep breaths. And in boxing, you have to do that. And then you're also doing that by learning how to be able to throw a punch, avoid a punch, and be able to manage your energy at the same time. All the things that you need to do when you're in that kind of fight or flight, feeling like you're not being able to be, you're not in a kind of safe manner, but repositioning yourself inside yourself so you can take back control of the situation and take, I call it taking your power back, because you're not, when you're in that feeling like you're not safe, it's that other person, whoever it's, whether it be on a keyboard or in real life, is taking that power away from you. But when you train it in a safe manner, you're able to react and do these things in an hopefully never in an unsafe environment. No, so thank you for really highlighting how that's really shifted for you, because that's massive, and I know that's going to be massive for some women that are watching this who have dealt with, because statistically it's the reality is one in three women has dealt with trauma or stalking or some sort of physical or sexual violence in their lifetime.
Well, I never really thought about the impacts that stress would have on the body. And in the beginning, when all of this, when the activism first started, I tell you, I was like Linda Hamilton. I don't know if you've seen the second Terminator.
She was like a role model for all the women in the 80s, right? Because you never see, yeah.
Well, but she was going around and everyone thought she was crazy because she's running around and she's trying to tell everybody what's happening. And that's kind of how I was when I found out what was happening here in Newfoundland. I was running around, I was trying to tell everybody what was happening. I was coming across as somebody crazy. They were labeling me as emotional. And at the time, and I'm still very, I have big emotions, and I don't think that that's anything to be ashamed of or embarrassed of. But what I was doing, because they were poking my buttons, was I was very reactive, and I wasn't dealing with, you know, I won't get into all the horrible things that were said, but you could feel they also try to keep you in a low place, and anger is a low vibration. And I would feel the anger it builds up inside of you. And so for me, the boxing was also a way to release that anger and to have a physical release. Um, so like stress, I think, yeah, is huge. And like that's what my sister would say was, well, Brenda, be kind to yourself. You're under a lot of stress. And I'm like, I'm not under no stress. I'm fine, right? But I was definitely, and I'd say the first few times I was hitting the heavy bag, I almost hurt myself because I didn't know how to hit it properly. We got through that now. It doesn't happen anymore. But in the beginning, I was so angry,
Yeah.
right? So even if we feel like we're dealing with situations okay, we still need to really look at, like you say, our emotional regulation. How can your brain be working properly if you're not eating right? How can your brain work if you're not sleeping at night? And then, like you say, the anger that rises, and how boxing was a great outlet for that as well. But I like to think now, like the Linda Hamilton stage is gone now, and I am in a much more controlled manner. And when people come at me, I'm able to respond. I stick to the issues. I don't rise to anything personal anymore. And lies spread fast, but truth is steadfast.
Oh,
So I
100%.
know, like, we're like almost 3 years into this activism work, and I think people are really seeing the truth of it all. But it's like you say, we got to figure out how to deal with that stress. And so many people have experienced trauma. And you just keep layering life on that. And we have to be the best versions of ourselves, physically and mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, and emotionally as well. Yeah, like knowing that your emotions are going to arise, but you don't have to react to them in that time, and that you can step into your power by just allowing them to move out of the way, and that when you let them pass, that you're taking back your power by not reacting to them, to people trying to push your buttons, so that's amazing. So in terms of your relationship with food, how have you found in like with the coaching and looking at kind of the relationship with your food and your day-to-day kind of things that you're working on in terms of nutrition, how have you found that's kind of changed for you?
Well, before boxing, I was looking at food. I was very sick when I looked at food. I was very nauseous in the morning. I often didn't have my first meal till about 2:30 in the day. Like I finally get something and stomach it. I was also using food to self-soothe. Like I had never gotten into chocolate before, but I got into chocolate now, and I wasn't just buying regular chocolate bars. I was buying the big, like the double size. But now that I need to, my body needs certain amount of food to fuel it in order to box. My relationship with food is much more healthier. I get up in the morning. I now do intermittent fasting, and when I get up, my first meal is beautiful. It's so like it. My meals now are so admirable when it comes to protein and vegetables that I could be taking food selfies every day and be proud of what I'm eating and putting into my body. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
I'm not a
truth.
steak. I have to laugh because I'm not really a steak person, but you posted the steak that you made with mushrooms and onions, and I'm like, I'm salivating.
Oh, so yeah, my relationship with food has gone from very unhealthy to very healthy. And
Yeah,
now I look at it, what is the nutrition value of what this meal is going to bring me? And I'm a caregiver, so not only did my relationship with food improve for myself, now I was always feeding my father well, but I was kind of like on autopilot of just reproducing the meals that we've had for years. But now that I'm in making sure that I have vegetables every day, I also make sure that I get that in for my father every day, and I feel like I'm doing better for him. So it's amazing how it ripples out to the
you
people
just
in that you love, right?
read my mind, right? Like the more that it's hard sometimes for women when they're deep in caregiving, it's like to do another thing or put another thing on their list to look after themselves just seems like one heavier burden. But you just hit the nail on like exactly how it is a rippling effect when you fill your cup up and you look after yourself more, how it impacts the rest of your family in terms of helping them be able to look after their health more too. And seniors need that, especially in Newfoundland.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
so
because we have a meat and potatoes diet often, right?
yes, yes, high salt, high sugar, low movement.
Well, not in this house, girl.
No, so it's awesome that you made those changes. Um, so what do you feel that you can do now that you couldn't do before?
Well, I guess before I was still trying to do certain things, like I was trying to exercise, but I just did not have any energy. I always felt that I was really tired a lot of the time, and when it's funny because I've been down this road before, but when you first start an exercise program, you have all these, I'm going to say some of them are really unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
So I keep expecting to feel this like surge of energy, right? But but it hasn't happened that way. But the more in tune I get with my body and what and how I'm feeling, I notice that I am accomplishing more in the run of a day. I do get more accomplished. So I have to have more energy. And I've had a lot of travel back and forth to St. John's. And that was a drive that I used to say when I was younger, I could do it in one day. I was blaming it on my age, Lita May. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, that was what I told myself. But the other day when I had to go to St. John's, I felt good enough that I drove the whole way in one day. So it had nothing to do with my age, right? Like we come up with these reasons why we can't do things, but so I feel that like my energy is improving, and I am much more committed. Like I'm getting much more into it now. Like I'm finding my groove,
Yeah.
and I really like that shift because I know that in order to be the strongest I can be for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, I have to be healthy. I have to be. Um, and the better I am, the better I can do for the province and for the people who live here. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, more energy. I'm much more controlled in my thinking, and I like something you said once was control among the chaos. Very
Yeah.
chaotic world we live in, and
Yeah.
but now, yeah, I'm feeling just feel much better on a lot of different fronts.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like, and for putting the work in, and being a role model for those that you're influencing and showing and guiding, because really it comes back to that rippling effect, for people to watch. And the more that we fill our cup up, the more that we can give the best of ourselves and to help influence positively the rest of us around us. So thank you for showing that. Um, so do you think that doing some of the challenges have made you stay more consistent?
Yes, yes, 100%. More consistent and also more present. So when I am actually involved in a challenge, I'm paying more attention. I'm more fired up as a participant. It's not just about you giving to us in a YouTube video. It's about me reciprocating that energy and giving back. And I think that must be why the 5 day challenge worked so well because I was fully present for that.
Yeah, yeah. And you started like, can you take us back a little bit to why? Because you started a little bit before the 5 day challenge with the sit to stand. And what kind of was the precipice to say like I'm gonna join in the sit to stand for a bit? Like what made you kind of be like I'm gonna do this?
Well, yes, because we started our training well before Christmas, right? And I guess sometimes I feel like I take myself, like we get so far and then it kind of plateaus.
Yeah,
And there are, I do have certain goals that I want to reach by the summer. Like, I will still wear the booty shorts, just for the record. I will, because I'm like, I want to be one of those women that are comfortable in their body no matter what the size. But I want to wear my booty shorts. I don't want to go out buying new clothes. So I have these goals in mind. And I knew that if I would join in the sit to stand, like I had to do something to kind of keep propelling myself forward. And that's what I saw the sit to stand challenge as a way to kind of propel me to move forward.
amazing, amazing. And so by doing the challenges, what would you say to like another woman who feels like stuck or scared to kind of maybe start that challenge? What would you say to them?
Yeah. How long you want to stay there? How long you want to stay in that scared spot? How long do you want to stay feeling bad or feeling unhealthy or feeling sick? How long you going to be there? That's the question. And then because you're the one that's going to decide to take yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And I was there for a long time. And sometimes it got to be that way. Just continue to be patient with yourself, but just how long you going to leave yourself down in that spot before you get out of it? That's what you got to ask yourself.
Amazing. And so what will you tell your future self now, like your future Brenda looking back on yourself now? What would you tell her?
Girl, you so good. Well, Brenda, you knew that you could do it. You knew you could do it. You just had to make up your mind and actually do it. And you just got to, like you say, you got to decide that you're not going to be there. You're going to be in a better place, and then you have to take action to get there.
Yeah.
And I knew some hard to say it sometimes, hey, but like in the beginning, you don't think, like I guess there's a part that thinks you can do it, which is why you finally gets there. But whether you think you can do it or not, sometimes you got to push yourself into the position because you know it's the best thing for you. But Brenda, I knew you could do it. You're kick ass. You're a great fighter. Nobody's going to mess with you. And if they do, you got what it takes to protect yourself. How's
Yeah,
that?
I love
It
it.
took a bit of practice, but I got it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you're ladies, if you're watching this, I didn't put the link in there yet. Me and all my steps, so I'm gonna remember the steps. But the next challenge that we have is coming up is May 11th for the 7-day sit to stand challenge, and it's free to join. And all the funds that we'll be raising will be go towards the Canada Moose Hide campaign to help end and advocate for ending violence against women in Canada. So that will, I encourage you ladies to join. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna throw in some new different kind of fun challenges with the 7 days. And I just want to say thank you so much, Brenda, for sharing your story and your journey here the last few months with us and beyond the last few months. And most importantly, the advocacy, activism work that you're doing for Newfoundland and Labrador, because I've been in the meetings, I've read the stats, and we need it. So for those of you that are watching and listening to Brenda, make sure you give her a woo woo woo, because by her standing her ground and standing in her truth and highlighting the things that need to be done for us as Newfoundlanders to stand up for ourselves, it's going to have that rippling effect on our health across the province, our economics across the province, and the health of our children across the province. So if you're not following her already in the journey, I've learned a lot from her because I had no idea about the wind binds, because I was under the different impression in college, and I learned so much, and I was like, wow, I had no idea. Like, thank you. Kudos for educating us. So, woo woo. Okay, thank you again, Brenda, for joining us, and we will be in touch.
Awesome. I love you so much, Lita May. You're amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, bye, guys.